It's been an unprecedented swearing-in ceremony for new members of the 117th Congress.
Congratulations. You are now members of the 117th Congress.
There you go. Among that group was New York's Ritchie Torres, and he joins us this morning from Washington, D.C. Congressman Torres, for the very first time. Good morning, and thanks for being here on the Pig 7 Morning News. First time as officially a congressman.
Congratulations.
It's an honor to be here. This is my first official interview as a member of Congress.
Well, we appreciate you making this your first stop here, Congressman. So let's get to this, because before we get to the issues, I want to just talk about the pomp and circumstance yesterday, a different type of ceremony, right? This is a historic moment for you, being the first openly Afro-Latino gay member of Congress. How did this all feel for you in the history that you're making?
You know, it's an emotionally overwhelming experience. Even during COVID, you know, we had to practice social distancing, so we were deprived of the normal experience. But you know, to see your name on the House plaque next to your office and to enter the House chamber for the first time and to recognize that you're part of the same institution that was once home to Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy is an enormously gratifying and overwhelming experience. And you realize you have the weight of history on your shoulders. One quick story, my office, which is Canon 317, was once the former office of President John F. Kennedy during his time in the House.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, it's got to be surreal to some extent as well. And I can see by the smile on your face, especially when we first introduced you, you are beaming. And this is a proud moment for you. I want to talk about getting down to the business that you'll be doing in Congress, because you got a lot of work ahead of you.
Yes.
You grew up in public housing there in the Bronx. You've said that the humanitarian crisis in public housing is largely due to the federal disinvestment there. So because you are going to be on the Committee of Financial Services, what are you specifically going to be doing to help that, especially here in New York?
Yeah. Look, the most important lesson that my mother taught me is never forget where you come from. And I come from public housing, and I'm going to make it the central mission of my time in Congress to ensure that the New York City Housing Authority, public housing, receives its fair share of federal funding. You know, public housing in New York City has been so systematically underfunded that it has $40 billion worth of capital needs. You have children who have been poisoned by lead. You have senior citizens who are freezing in their apartments because the boilers keep breaking down. We have to properly invest in public housing, which to me is the greatest safety net of affordable housing in the country.
You know, you're joining Congress at a time where the country is bitterly divided. Your time in the city council here in New York City, you were able to pass 46 bills into law. Might be a little different this time because it's a small majority now in the House, and we don't know what's going to happen in the Senate. Let's talk about one of the issues which is going to be taking place this week. Congress expected to certify the Electoral College results for the election on Wednesday. What are you hearing, and will the results stand?
I am supremely confident that we have the votes to ensure smooth certification of Joe Biden as the next president of the United States. And to your point about bipartisanship, look, I'm willing to form coalitions with anyone in the service of delivering for the people of New York City. But the attempt by the Republican Party to overturn the results of the election is outrageous. Like, the American people, by historic margins, overwhelmingly voted for Joe Biden as the next president of the United States. He won by a margin of 7 million votes. And instead of respecting democracy and respecting the will of the people, it's been a concerted effort by the president and by his enablers in Congress to erode confidence in our elections and our democracy. And I find it to be shameful. I find it to be a betrayal of the oath of office.
You know, you say you're willing to become a coalition with anyone. You're one of the, progressive, disruptive, diverse new members of Congress. Those are your words there. But there's some concern that you may not be expected to join hands, if you will, with, say, the squad. There's some caution there if people are just expecting that's going to be your path. Tell us why.
Look, I was raised to be independent. You know, I won a fiercely contested congressional primary independently of the power structures in New York City. And I feel like I have a mandate to be my own person and to do the right thing and to build coalitions on a case-by-case basis. I refuse to declare that I'm a member of a particular ideological tribe. I'm about results and solutions. I'm not about playing politics.
Yeah, and you know, you said you're going to Washington, D.C. to be a policymaker, but on that issue of bipartisanship, and I'm sorry to push on this, but The new Congress is divided on the basic question as to whether to acknowledge that Mr. Trump actually lost the election. If you can't agree on that, how do you plan on moving forward on other policies?
It's a fair question. There are radically different perceptions of reality. My analysis is that the Republican Party lives in fear of Donald Trump, who has a profound grip on the base of the party. I'm hoping that once he exits the political stage, that politics will come back to normal and that Joe Biden, who's a unifying figure, can have a calming, normalizing effect on American politics. That is my hope.
All right. Well, I want to shift gears now to the COVID vaccine, something that we're trying to see take place all across the country. There's a lot of concern, a lot of frustration that is not rolling out fast enough. Once you are in Congress now, that you have been, the ceremony has occurred, you're sworn in. What are you going to be doing specifically, and will you get the vaccine?
So I have not gotten the vaccine yet. I've been advised to take the vaccine as a member of Congress in order to set an example for my constituents. I'm concerned about the slow pace at which we've been distributing the vaccine. I think most New Yorkers, including myself, for most New Yorkers, a post-COVID world cannot come soon enough. Right? We need a return to normal. We need to enable our economy to recover, and that requires us to expedite the distribution of vaccines and to prioritize the most vulnerable populations, including our senior citizens, who are at the highest risk.
How do you expedite the progress, not only here in New York City, where you have city councilman Mark Levine saying, let's do it 24/7, but nationwide, millions of doses handed out, only a few million enter the arms of people. And it hasn't been a fast rollout. How do you, as a congressman now, expedite the process?
The distribution of the vaccines have been largely handled at the state and the local level. But if there's a state and local government that lacks the capacity to efficiently distribute these vaccines, then the federal government should intervene. We have a massive federal bureaucracy that's capable of administering these vaccines with much greater efficiency. So I think it depends on a case-by-case basis. There are some states, there are some localities that are distributing it more efficiently than others. And in areas where the local and state government is failing, the federal government should step in.
Congressman, it's been so great to talk to you this morning. Congratulations. What did Mama say once you were sworn in?
My mother has never been more excited about watching C-SPAN.
There you go.
That's fantastic.
Congressman, thank you for making the Picks Up More News your first stop officially as Congressman. You are welcome back anytime, and I can just tell by the first day that you will not forget about us here in New York, so thank you for joining us.
Take care.
Best of luck to you.